We've been strong for so long, now it's time to rise. No more dimming our light, let it shine so bright. Breaking chains, breaking downs, we reclaim our crown. Standing tall, hear us roar, we ain't backing down. We are queens, we are fire, we are born to be bold. Writing history, rewriting what the world has been told. No more limits, no more waiting. Feel the power inside. It's a moment, our season. Watch us all burn. We rise again, stronger than ever. Never we own our space. Rediscovering our work, no time to waste. From the roots of our past to the dreams we create, with a vision, a mission. No more fear, just faith from the boardroom, the stage, shoot the books that we write. We are queens, we are fire.
All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everyone. You have tuned in to the S.I.T podcast. I am your host, Sabrina. And of course, my host, my friend, my partner, Michelle, will not be with us for the entire month of May. She is taking care of some very important business. And if she doesn't come back an established millionaire, okay, I'm just playing. Michelle, we miss you. And we will see you in June. But in the meantime, as you guys know, I've told you last week, we have the fabulous, the intellectual. I can't think of enough words to describe her, so I'm not going to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but she is amazing. Natasha McCartney is a licensed psychotherapist, very passionate about what she does, and she is here with us to talk to us about healing with her extensive clinical experience and her commitment to empowering women. We are so fortunate to have her. Hey, Tosh. Oh, wait a minute. I think I messed up.
You got, I'm good.
I
I'm
thought it
good.
was me.
I'm good. Nope. It's me. It's me. Look at the family. For you guys who joined us last week, I'm getting technical savvy and I'm here. And I do want to apologize about the whole wide world seeing me take out my retainers last week. I didn't even know it was on camera. So you guys, we're all human. You've seen the human side of me.
That's
Trying
right.
to make sure I take care of my dental health.
I love
And that's
that.
part of self-care and self-love. So y'all seen my version of self-love.
You know what's so funny? I'm glad you brought that up. Well, let's do an icebreaker. Now,
Yes.
last week, you asked me, you mentioned some songs. You asked me some names, who sung the songs. And, of course, I think I got 90%. I think I got 2 right. We're going to do it again. Since it was so popular, everybody liked it. I had folks helping me. I called in a lifeline, and some people were in the chat giving me some names. So, shoot, go for it. I'm ready this time.
All right. So what she's talking about, you guys, is for our Facebook family and our YouTube family is what I introduced to the world last week was a game called Top 3. It's owned and created by a Black woman. And if you want to support her, you could go to www.top3games.com. And what we're going to do is we looked at 3 artists who have openly spoke about their challenges with mental health and or mental health awareness and shared their journey with the public. So this is why we've chose the artists, because May, again, is Mental Health Awareness Month. Hence, this is why I'm sitting down on the S.I.T podcast with my sisters here, giving out information across the globe.
Yes.
So ready for the first 3 songs, Sabrina?
Wait, let me take a deep breath. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, Facebook family, YouTube family, please type in if you can support her, right? So the first three
Wait a
songs
minute. Wait a
are
minute. Wait a minute.
uh
Can you can you give me the errors? Okay, never mind. That these songs was from. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. Shoot.
Oh no, no, yeah, yeah. I don't have no hints for you. I don't have no hints for you. But
Jesus.
if we do it again, I'll try to speak to the owner and see if she got some hints along the way, right?
Okay. All right.
So the first three are moves,
Mm-hmm.
blessings, and single again.
Move blessings.
Blessings and single again. So
Dun.
I guess the biggest hint is this is R&B. So this first game is her first production of top three is R&B. So it's an R&B artist. I know she's definitely in production for other genres as we discuss it, as we speak it as now.
It. Oh.
So R&B and artists that openly spoke about mental health awareness and shared their or his, she or him journey with the world.
Why is Big Sean coming up?
Yes, if somebody called in, because that's who it
No.
is.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
All
I
right,
know a
all
little.
right.
I
So
know a little
you
bit.
aiming for 100% this week. All right.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
the next one is The Omen, Slippin', and I Miss You.
Doom, 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 doom,
And I
doom.
can give you a hint. This artist is R&B slash rap, phenomenal genius in art, but he's no longer with us.
Oh, so he's no longer with us. That's a good hint.
Yes.
Is it
The Omen, Slippin', and I Miss You. And
slipping? Oh,
I'm
that's
slipping.
DMX. I heard that
Yes,
song in my head. Slipping.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
DMX.
yes.
Yo,
Okay, so
don't
the
judge
last
me.
one.
Okay.
Yes. So the last one is Everything to Me, So Gone, and Angel of Mine. I'm not giving you no hints for this one because
Okay.
this is easy. Everything to Me, these are massive popular
So gone.
songs. So
Monica, Monica,
Gone.
Monica.
Yes, there you go. There you
Woo!
go.
Mm,
All right, so
mm,
you got
mm,
100% this week,
mm, mm, mm,
Sabrina.
mm. Ooh, I'm so excited.
Yes, I love this game. I do love this game, and I hope you guys love it as much as I do. You can support it again at www.top3games.com.
And if there's some artists that, if there's some songs that you know, now remember, May is Mental Health Month, so we're looking for the artists who have proven or who have openly spoken about having mental health issues. We could even do one better. We can do actresses and actors because I know Taraji P. Henson, she talks
Oh,
about it
yes.
openly. So maybe that's something we can
Yes.
think about for next week. Hi,
Right,
Facebook
right.
family. Hi, YouTube family. It's good to have you guys on board with us tonight. All right, Tasha. So that was really a good icebreaker. You you're making me go into my music bag and okay, never mind. All right, so today's topic I want to talk about is keeping on this mental health journey or wellness journey. Can we talk about one of the things that people always say to other people is you have to love yourself first. You have to love yourself first before you can love anybody else. Hey Chuck, how you feeling, boobs? You have to love yourself before anybody else can love you. What does that mean? But I'm going to ask you a question that goes a little bit deeper.
Mhm.
What is the difference between self-love, self-care, and is there a difference? I guess I should have asked. What is it and is it a
Yes,
difference?
yes. And that is true. You started out talking about self-love and how people throw that around like it's so easy to do. And it is good. Thank you for opening this up so we can discuss it because I'm sure that people be like, I do love myself. And then I sit with people, I work with people, I coach people and clients, and you
Yes.
realize, people could tell you a lot about the things that they don't want in life, but they don't necessarily be able to tell you about what they do want in life. And that takes us down a journey. So
Exactly.
self-care and self-love are related but different, distinct concepts. Self-care embodies the practices, hear me now, the practices of taking care of oneself spiritually, physically, and emotionally, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
self-care is like eating healthy, taking a good nap, going on vacation, going to church every Sunday or to your house of worship, and keeping yourself clean, ironing your clothes. Many sisters do a lot of self-care, get their nails and their hair done, and make
Mm.
sure they look good every day they wake up. But having and doing and taking care of yourself does not necessarily mean that you have self-love,
Mm-hmm.
because on the other hand, self-love is a deep sense of value,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you have a positive relationship with oneself,
Mm-hmm.
knowing your worth,
Mm.
and also being willing to help others understand what your worth is and how you value yourself. So
Right.
I know another concept that we hear in the world when we talk about self-love and self-care and being in relation with one another is that we teach people how to treat us, right?
Mm.
So when you love yourself and you are clear about that, you will teach people how to love you as well.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. And it's so funny. So, what I hear you saying is self love is mental and emotional, it's about how you feel about you. Okay.
Yes.
And self care is physical and it's what you do to take care of you, right? So, when I think about what does self love look like? And you've given some good examples, but I just want to drill down a little bit deeper. Is it
Yes.
self love? Is it believing you are enough without having to prove it?
Yes, right. So a focus, you could think about this focus point to help people remember is a deep sense of self-acceptance. So if you accept
Mm,
yourself, you're not looking to prove it to anyone. Appreciation for who you are, all of your perfections as well as your flaws. A
mm,
positive regard for yourself. So how do you talk to yourself? How do you talk about yourself with others? So one
mm.
example is recognizing your strengths over before recognizing where you have areas of development,
Right,
embracing your imperfections.
right. And you know what's so funny? And I say this all the time, right? We are really good at abusing ourselves that we don't really need anybody else to do it. So, for example, if if I gain weight, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fat. Or,
Yes.
I tease it all the time. I go, oh my God, my nose. I used to have such a complex about my nose. When I was young, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get my nose done. You know what's so funny? I look in the mirror and I just absolutely love my nose. Like, I think it is so beautiful for so many different reasons. It allows me to smell when I
Yes.
smile, right? And my cheeks go up, it just kind of evens out my face. Like, I
Right.
think I have such a pretty nose. However, if you are conditioned to think a certain way about yourself, right? That's the programming you have. And we have to learn how to change that messaging. And so that was a good point. So let me ask you another question about what self love looks like.
Mhm.
Setting boundaries to protect your peace. I hear, you have to set your boundaries. Can we talk a little bit deeper about that?
Yes, yes, because when you set boundaries, most people think the boundaries is an ugly word. It's like, oh, an ugly word, like a little gremlin in the night. But when you think about it, if you set boundaries, you're developing your value set, your value system, and you actually are setting boundaries from a therapeutic perspective to help yourself not cross those boundaries. Because when you set boundaries and you don't cross them, and a few seconds ago, I said, when you love yourself, you will teach people by how you just show up, how you speak about yourself, how you carry yourself to love you. When you have boundaries that you don't cross, people won't cross your boundaries. So
Tasha,
a lot of times, go ahead.
hey, May May, love you. Thank you for joining. So I just want to drill back just a little bit deeper with
Mhm.
the boundaries. First of all, if you could provide just example or two of what a boundary crossing looks like, right? And what a person should do to I want to talk about what a boundary looks like for me myself
Mhm.
and what crossing it looks like, cuz a lot of people may not know what, like, we say it a lot, but what does it mean?
Sure. I have a perfect example of a boundary, right?
Hmm.
So I personally will never degrade another human being, talk down to another human being, or call a human being names.
Right.
That's me.
Mm.
And so even when I'm in conflict with people, I have a certain tone. My children tell me I got that mommy tone,
Hmm.
but I'm always respectful
Hmm.
and I'm always looking to compromise and leave it open. That's a boundary that I have because I don't want no one forcing my boundary in that way.
Hmm.
So no matter how angry I am with someone, and yeah, we all have thoughts in our head, and I'm not perfect. I have thoughts in my head, but and we talked about this the first time I was up in April,
Yes.
before
Yes.
I disrespect myself by acting out of character and out of my integrity, which then someone else can perceive as disrespectful, I will walk away and say, we need to take a time out. This discussion is over. And I've done this with my children. I've done this with my husband. I've done this with multiple family members. I've even done it at work.
Hmm. Hmm. That is some good stuff.
Yeah, so you will never see me do that. So the way I carry myself, if someone wants to be in conflict with me and they start, I will tell them, hey, 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 if you want to talk to me about this conflict, and I'm more than open to talking about this conflict, but you will not use name calling, you will not yell at me, you will not get in my personal space because I will not treat you that way.
And let's just suppose we were in a confrontation, you and you set the boundaries. I don't care how this conversation goes, but this is what
Hmm.
you not do to me, right? And then I come and I just disregard how what your the boundaries you set, and I just leap over it, and now I'm doing everything you don't like. How do you respond?
Well, child, in my younger days, I probably put hands on
I
somebody,
know
right? Now, I'll be honest because people need to know who I am. But
that.
in my more mature season, you get finer with wine. I will walk away from
Yeah,
that person.
yeah,
And I will also let them know that, depending on how close they are in my life, if you
yeah,
want to revisit this conversation, the ball is in your court. But
yeah.
I will never call you back again or revisit this conversation with you because you have crossed the boundary. But let me tell you something that's magical, right? Sabrina, I've been on this earth for 5 decades, right? And
Mm,
I come out of Harlem, straight out of Harlem. And like I said, in my younger days, I will put hands on people.
yeah.
And I put hands on people. And when people have
I know
gone
the
back and
family
said,
you come from, so I know.
look, we look. So, but the magical thing about that is that I stayed in my community. If everyone from whenever I introduced myself, I was born and raised in Harlem. Did a
Yeah,
lot of my early therapeutic work in Harlem, and
yeah.
I still do. Right. When I used to do that, people will always want to be my friend afterwards, and I
Right,
didn't know why.
right.
But when so I did not be people friend, but I did give them time to talk it through, right? Maybe I was just therapeutic when I was putting hands on people as well. But I people realized that they had crossed their boundary.
Yeah.
And they crossed my boundaries and I wasn't standing up for it. So, when you're younger, people test you, they bully you, they
Even when
intimidate
you're older,
you.
if you have trauma, they're gonna
Right.
and you.
Now older, I just don't deal with that level of toxicity in my life. And I'll tell
Yes.
people this is really toxic for me. Your behavior is making me anxious. I asked you not to do that and I don't want to feel that way. So I'm gonna have to walk away from this. And I've
Right.
lost some relationships because people will stay what they say strong and wrong in
Right.
their commitment. But then you gotta sit back down and think about what was that really a healthy relationship?
Right.
Because if
Exactly.
you ask someone not to do that,
Right.
and they insist on doing it, then that's how they want to be in relationship with you. And I don't want to be in relationship with people like that, especially people that's in my inner circle or people I love.
Right. But I think the key thing that you said, right, is that you have to first communicate what your
Yes.
boundaries are, right? Because it's unfair. Let's say you never communicated those boundaries and then that person just started, you know, crossing what you didn't like and then you just cut them off. You're not communicating your expectations or your boundaries to that person, which is not fair. So I like what you said. How does a person be confident enough to set boundaries? Because
To begin to
to
communicate. Well,
convince,
one thing I would want to harp on too is people are going to do what they're going to do.
right,
But when you're in relationship with people, I think I didn't say it clear enough. they are watching you.
Yes.
So you could communicate your boundaries non-verbally, through facial expressions, through helping people help themselves and be like, wait,
Right.
I think you're going a little bit too far now, or I
Right.
don't like this. Maybe even depending on the nature of the relationship. Let's just say it's a work relationship,
Right.
right? You,
Right.
you may not want to, be that explicit at work because the relationship is not that deep. But if you see something that's not right, walk away from it. When
Yeah.
you feel uncomfortable about things, walk away from it.
Yeah.
I hear lots of people tell me that they feel uncomfortable about what's happening, but then they feel more uncomfortable walking away from it. And I'm like, well,
Right.
why would you sit and suffer?
Right.
And then bringing us back to our topic of today is, if you feel more uncomfortable and helping you feel better, then how do you care for yourself and how deep does your self love go?
Right.
Because
Right.
really, if people are behaving in certain ways and you stay around it, you almost become complacent or like an
Mm-hmm.
accomplice in their
Mm-hmm.
behavior. So how will
Complacent.
they ever
Mm-hmm.
know your boundaries?
Yeah. Yep. 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 No, you're right.
I'd rather someone ask me why you walk away than me sit there and then now every day at work I'm in these conversations. Now, obviously, as a therapist, you have to like to talk, right? My daughter is the same profession, but she don't think she'll ever do clinical work because she was like, "Mommy, you talk too much, and I don't really like to talk like that, right?" So I am a talker.
She
I
know.
talk
At
too much.
least she know who she is.
Yes, she does. But the one thing I do is I don't gossip.
Right. Oh, that's my
I
motto.
cannot
I
stand
don't do it
gossiping.
neither.
I can't. I don't know if it was in our family. Maybe there's some
Yeah.
family traits that we have. I
Yeah.
cannot stand gossiping. So you will never see me just sitting around in a conversation with people or gossiping. I will get up and walk away.
Yeah. I changed the
And
whole environment at work
oh
that
yes, yeah,
with that motto.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You just get up and walk away so people know don't come to gossip with me.
No, I tell them I don't
Yeah,
gossip. Please do
yeah,
not bring that to me. I don't want to
yeah,
hear it. And when they
yeah.
start, I'll be like, please take
Nope,
that out. We're not doing
nope.
that.
Yeah. So it's so
Hey,
again,
Lionel.
yes, again, having some boundaries or explicitly saying boundaries, it don't necessarily have to be explicit. It's in your own actions. And don't think people are not watching you. People are
Yes.
watching you.
Yes.
And
They
how
are.
you carry yourself, it will rub off on other people. And that's another version of self-love, just having practicing self-compassion for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you have that and you find yourself in these uncomfortable situations, but if you have compassion and you know you're suffering, remove yourself from the situation.
Right.
And the
Right.
people who love you and care about you will act. Because people are not perfect. I have people around me who gossiped all the time.
Yeah.
But guess what? They don't gossip with me. And
Yeah.
then whenever all of the whatever happened is over, then they come tell the story, especially if
Right.
it's something that you need to know, within your circle. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, why y'all just telling me about this?
Right.
I learned to stop asking that question because I realized, oh, y'all was gossiping about
About
this before we got to the
that.
solution.
Before you actually
Got
heard
it.
about it.
Because I'm always the last to know everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
can't because gossip to me is baseless, number one. Number two, if they talking about them, they coming to talk about you too. I don't have time for that.
right,
I'm on
right.
a
And then
whole
you,
different mission, a
yeah,
whole different
yeah.
plane.
And then don't you think that's demonstrating like self-love, right? Because
No.
people know that that's what they're trying to pull you in. And if
Yes.
you set that boundary around this is not what I do, people are going to think about it and then they're going to be like, "Oh, she must really care about herself or
Yes.
care about
Mm-hmm.
others." People are reading you, watching you, looking for clues on how to be in relation with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can teach people how to be in relationship with you when you love yourself and you practice self-care.
Yeah. You want to hear something funny speaking about what you just said? So I went to work today and I'm about to retire. So I was telling the one of the girls that I'm about to retire. I said I didn't tell anybody because I don't really know the effective date as of yet, but I just wanted to give her heads up. So she comes over to my desk and she said, Sabrina, she said, I have to tell you something. She said, when you came into the agency, she said, I'll never forget, you and I had a conversation in my office. And she said, what you said to me was so thought provoking. She said, at first, when you said it to me, I was very resistant to what you were saying because I was like, no, they got to see. She said, but the following year, she tried it. She said, I'm going to give it a shot. She said she has been at such peace as a result of it. And she wanted to thank me for changing the office environment. Girl, I started
Oh,
crying. I
wonderful.
said, please don't do this to me, please. Oh my goodness. Everything, and that's just a small portion of what she was saying. But what really resonated with me was the fact that she said, I made such an impact on her life that it has changed totally. And she said that I didn't just talk it, but I walked it. I lived it every day. I came in as the same person.
That's right. And that is self-love, right? Because when you love yourself, you're the same person. You don't change because it's in your character and it's in your integrity.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know you was impacting this woman like this, but she was
No.
watching you.
Yeah.
And some of us are not as fortunate to get the validation because
Yeah.
when you have self-love, you don't necessarily need
I could
validation.
care
But I
less.
think I think you should take Sabrina's story into consideration. Like I said, people are watching you and you are impacting people on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
So we can
Absolutely.
spread self love unintentionally.
Right, 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 right.
So I could just to give the more perspective because I don't know if people are asking questions or still wondering about it because
Hmm.
it's such a deep topic and we definitely gonna support our viewers and listeners
Hmm.
in a way as Sabrina
And we're
talked
going
about
to
it a
talk
little
about
bit
how we can
later
support
on,
this effort. Yeah,
right? So
yep,
we could get more in depth with these
yep,
topics. But when you
absolutely.
think about self care, how does it relate to self love, right?
Right.
So self care can be a tool, can be one tool to nurture self love, but it is not the same thing as loving oneself.
Self.
And just on the
Mm.
opposite of that, how is self love related to self care? Self love can be the motivation for engaging into self care practices. So, y'all
Yes.
hear me? Self love can be the motivation for engaging in self care practices. So,
Right.
while they're entwined, they're two different
Right.
things.
And just to drill down that a little bit more, right? So self love. I love myself enough to eat healthy. I
Yes.
love myself enough to get physicals every year. I love
Oh,
myself enough
yes.
that if I go to the doctor and they give me a diagnosis, to do better.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Right.
So,
And I love myself enough to know that I'm a student every day. Because in the
hello.
work that I do, I engage with many different people across many different ethnicities, religion, race, knowledge, and I'm open to learn from them every day. I'm the expert in psychotherapy, but I'm not the expert in life because I'm still
Exactly.
learning every day as
Every
well.
day. And I'm a Virgo, so we love learning. I, I love it. I'm going to keep on self love just a little bit. Let's talk about speaking kindly to yourself and forgiving your flaws. What does that look like? What does that self love piece look like?
Right. So, I think, we are creatures because of the way we're groomed in this society that we live in. And
I
most of the
like that
people
word,
are
groom.
listening is the society we lived in. I think we're groomed on a daily basis to kind of strive for perfection,
Yeah,
right? So you don't necessarily get positive criticism if you make a mistake.
right.
And many times people think mistakes are failures.
Yeah,
So when you are struggling with something or frustrated around something, or shoot, you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed one day and your first thought is not such a good thought about yourself, that's a warning sign that you got to rewire how you think about yourself.
the
So for
nose is a good
every
example.
thought that you don't think good about yourself, you may want to have two thoughts to combat that. Because
Right,
everyone should have something that they appreciate about themselves and something that they're grateful for.
right, right.
And so that's how you can change how you talk to yourself.
Mhm.
And again, when you're talking to your friends, I think you gave a good example about when people decide they want to lose weight, whether they need to lose weight or not. That's a very common element. Oh, I'm so fat. Oh,
First go
these
to.
pants don't look right on me. Or
You telling all
um,
your sales I'm fat. What you think this they gonna give you just what you want.
right, be fat, right?
Be
Or
fat.
I'm not good enough. Or I had a meeting with my leadership and 90% of the meeting went well, but you concentrate on the 10%
So
that didn't
oof.
go well,
I
right?
say it.
So that is not a loving way to treat yourself, right? So yeah, you can concentrate on the 90% first and then learn from the 10% that didn't go well. And the
Right.
10% that didn't go well was not a failure.
Yeah.
It was a place for you to warn a sign for, oh, I need to tighten this area up.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Janine, miss you. You
Yeah.
know, it's so funny, and I hope my niece don't kill me, but I have to tell this story when you talk about the 90% we abuse ourselves and the 10% that is amazing, or the 90% is amazing, but you zero in on the 10%. I'll never forget one time. Did you go with us when we were at Disney?
Yeah. What, for Kylie's birthday?
Yeah, for Callie's birthday.
Yes,
And we
yes.
went on the cruise. Did you go with us on a cruise?
No, I didn't go on a cruise. I didn't go on a Disney
So
cruise.
so
So that
I'm
must
gonna
have been
tell a
another birthday.
story. So don't be mad at me, Poogie. I love you. But anyway, so we my sister, you know Dottie, she always wants to go on the casinos and stuff. That's neither here nor there. So we go on this cruise. It was maybe, I don't know, a 2-hour cruise, but it was a gambling cruise, a casino, gambling casino. I don't gamble, y'all know that. I don't gamble, I don't drink. I'm just the epitome of corny, and I'm okay with that. So anyway, we go on this cruise, and I'm sitting out. The weather is just perfect. It's nighttime. It's probably about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and I'm sitting on the deck. I'm on a chair. I have my headphones in because y'all know I love music, and the breeze and the air and the stars, and I just felt like I was one with God. Right? It was just like I didn't care about anything else that was going on around me. It was breathtaking. It was beautiful. And I was just taking it all in, right? So my niece, don't be mad at me, Poogie. She comes next to me, right? And she says, oh my God, I'm so mad I'm on this boat. I can't wait till we get back. I'm never coming to... And I'm just looking at her, right? Like, all I kept thinking was, I'm reveling in the beauty, and I'm looking at her, and I'm reveling in the beauty. And I'm like, I wanted to say, don't miss this opportunity. There's so much. Sorry, Pookie. There's so much to get out of everything. But like you said, if you constantly find what's wrong, you're going to miss what's right.
Right, right. That's the gift of being in the present, right?
Yeah.
That's why they said the presence is a gift.
Yes.
But I'm gonna just call you out, Miss Sabrina.
Hit
You
me.
are not corny.
Oh,
See,
oh,
then
oh,
we hit
right. You're
a
right.
real live example.
Cancel, reset.
Right, you are unique. Just because you don't drink
I,
or like casinos does not make you corny. There's a whole
right.
world of people who don't drink and don't go to
Right.
casinos.
And you know what's so funny? I absolutely love that about me.
Yes.
Because I dare to be different, and you guys are you're gonna see more of that. It's so funny because my friends, we would, they had like a get together, and they drink, I don't drink, so they was like, give Sabrina her drink with extra lemon, her water with extra lemon. I'm like, bring it on. But I love my family, I love my friends,
And that's a good example again of people who love you, right?
yeah,
And good boundaries, right?
yep,
They know you don't want to be in a crowd of people who trying to get you to take a drink
yeah,
all the time or try
yeah,
to shake a beer. And I'm sure there's some people listening to this podcast who don't drink, and there's some people saying, you sure you don't drink? What's
right.
going on here? Why
I
don't you
see you
taste
sit
a
right.
little bit? Do you need to
Yeah,
smell it?
yeah,
So then when you think about how you set boundaries and self-care and self-love, those people will cross your boundaries. You may
yeah,
not want to hang out with them, right? Because
right.
they're not creating a space to accept you for who you are.
That's
You
right.
could drink all night if you like, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna have just as much fun as you
yeah.
with you if you can respect my boundaries.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah. Now I'm pretty fortunate, like my family, my friends.
Yeah.
Back to Pookie, she was like, "Don't put that drink." Even if I play, put that down. You're not drinking. So they really do respect the fact that I just don't liquor me.
Yeah. So that's by you demonstrating that and being consistent about that.
Yeah,
So
and again, speaking kindly to yourself, like you said, saying things like, "Oh, I'm a little corny." Notice how I just kind of brush through it, which means that we
yeah,
do it as
we
second
all do it.
nature, right? So we
Yeah.
have to be more conscious about how we are speaking to ourselves. God
Right.
spoke the word. We're speaking the word to
First.
ourselves. So we got to
That's right.
definitely, I know I'm a work in progress, so we definitely have to you know,
We all are a work in
be
progress,
conscious
but
about
it's
how we speak to
something
ourselves.
to recognize and understand because it really is important in what language we use. Because we will speak. I talked to you guys last week about how the body and the mind is always communicating to each other,
Right,
right?
right.
So again, if you're saying these things about yourself, you're gonna walk that way. You're gonna act that way.
Yeah.
Your mind is going to believe that about you and take you down that path.
Yeah.
So we want to come into the world thinking of stuff in abundance. So I know I'm wildly unique from most people, you
Yeah.
know. And look, I love myself for it and people love it for me.
That's
They
right. That's
sometimes people
right.
don't even know why they love me until they say something and I get on one-on-one conversations with them.
Right.
And
Poogie said that
so
cruise
it
wasn't no
is
2 hours. It was
important.
4 to 5. You might be right, Poogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Tasha,
So
keeping on self love. This one gonna be a little juicy.
mhm.
Choosing partners, jobs, friendships that reflect your worth.
You can. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that the people may think the hardest one is partners, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
people, you know, when you get into relationships, especially intimate and romantic relationships, you may think that's the hardest one, but I tend to think that's the easiest one because you actually have a choice. You don't
Right.
have to be chosen. Sometimes you have friends because your mama was friends with their mama and you grew up together and they come
Yeah.
like family, right? Sometimes you wind up in careers because you follow what you thought you were supposed to do, or you follow some type of blueprint, whether it's education and you go to college and you study this and that takes you down a certain field. You know, you may not be happy about those things. And then you have to question yourself, why am I here? What can I do about that? So those situations are probably harder to get out of, especially if you're working and you make a lot of good money. We have a lot of people who make good money and they miserable as hell at
They hate
work.
their
That's
jobs,
not
exactly.
self-love, but they got a family to take care of. So what do? I talk to them about, well, how can you demonstrate love in other ways and what's going to be your exit plan, right? Because this
Right.
is not the only job that's going to pay you.
That's
You know,
right.
we have long-term friends that we kind of get stuck with at the hip, but they ain't loving on you and you don't feel like loving on them no more. How do
Yeah.
you exit those relationships?
Yeah.
So an intimate relationship is the easiest one out of all of those to ensure
Tosh, you
that you
say
can
you.
demonstrate
I'm gonna
self-love.
challenge you on that for a second,
Okay, go
and I have my
ahead.
own
Yeah.
thoughts about it. So, so choosing a partner or getting in or in out of it is easy is because you have a choice. We know we have a choice, but you find that a lot of people, men and women, continuously stay in relationships that are not conducive for them, right? Maybe it's abusive. Maybe the person is verbally abusive or or talks down to them, mentally abusive. So, and that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I'm just going to ask you, why do you think that is?
Because I don't think people make commitments to themselves.
Mm,
Because if you make a commitment to yourself to be loved
mm-hmm.
and you actually want to give that out to somebody, and this is not no woo 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 juicy woo woo stuff, this is real factual reality. You once you make that commitment, you are committed to loving yourself and putting love on someone. Y'all are going to work together in a partnership. Relationships should be partnerships. It
Mm-hmm.
can't be one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a great question you asked this week. I most people probably know, like, where you been at, Natasha? I don't see you on social media. Y'all probably go on my Facebook and my Instagram because there's something up there, and the LinkedIn. That's kind of trying to build a brand is real dry. But this is the second year those things have been existing. Prior to that, I have not been on that. So I'm not always up on what's happening in the world. I usually get it through the real news,
Right,
right?
right,
So,
right,
and
right.
we get pop culture through the real news. So this I actually did get through the real news because I think it's Omar Epps
Uh
was
huh.
on Cameron Hall recently.
Uh huh.
And so that came through my real news. I don't know what day he was on there, but it came through my real news because, you know, the algorithms know I'm a therapist and everything that comes to my phone is really therapeutic. And he's been married to his wife.
Oh
I'm not going to
no.
say how long, but for a very long time. And they both are people who are well known. His wife is one of the women who was in the group Total, one of the three
Yes.
in Total.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that they highlighted why it became a trending topic is because he spoke about that him and his wife at some point communicated to each other that they were committed to staying together. through thick and
No matter
thin.
what. Right, right.
And that really resonated with me because when I think about me and my husband, we got together really young. I was barely 20 years old when we got together. That's how I can tell you how quick we've been together and count the time back. When we got together, we were committed to loving each other and we liked each other and we were friends first.
Everybody always says that. Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah, and people who know us know that. But at some point, people be thinking we sister and brothers because we get along so well.
Mm-hmm.
And there was never a time, and it ain't been perfect because it's been 32 years, right?
Woo!
The
That's
more
how
I've
old
been
I am.
with him, right? I've been more, I've been with him more than, wait, what, how do you say it? More of my life has been in this relationship with him because I got with him at 20. So the
Mm-hmm.
first 20 years I didn't know him, and then the next 32 years we've been together. So that's
Wow.
more than
You
half the life I've been together,
right,
right?
right.
With this guy. And at no point, and there's been some low points with us, I have never put on the table, we are not going to be together. And
Mm.
it's been we fought for a couple months about a specific topic. He ain't here yet, so today, so I'm not gonna reveal that.
Mm.
But I was mad. It got so bad that my daughter was like, "Ma, you are treating Daddy bad. You are being so mean to him, but mean in a way where I wasn't disrespectful. I just was not talking to him.
Right, right,
I
right.
wasn't loving on him. I wasn't kissing on him every
Right.
day. I wasn't touching him. Nothing was going on that night in the bedroom.
I know that's
I
right.
was mad at him because he was stuck someplace and he could not move. And the craziest thing is that when he come up and maybe we do something relationship, he may
I
share
can't
with you
wait.
guys. He was stuck someplace he couldn't move from and he was harming himself. So that's what I was
Right.
really mad at. He was not
Oh.
taking care of himself. But
Mm-hmm.
at no point did I think I'm not gonna be with this man. I'm
Right.
like, this is a rough time, but we're gonna get through it.
Right.
And I stayed in my integrity. I didn't call him names. I didn't create arguments to it. Even when I asked my daughter, how am I being mad? She said, you just real quiet around the house. And when he come in the room, you leave. Bound.
Well,
So he knew not to talk to me unless he get himself together or he wanted to have a conversation about that.
right, 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 right. I love that. Relationships are not perfect. You just gotta
Right.
stick it.
But that's how you stay together. So when you and go back to that question of when you're in a relationship and it has some level of toxicity in it, and people can't, because people are not perfect. Everyone
No.
bring their wounds to the relationship. But when you make a commitment, you got to make a commitment to yourself to work on yourself, and hopefully that person you're in relationship with is making that same commitment. Because again, when you begin to love yourself and work on yourself, you are unstoppable. And
Yeah.
anybody who love you and want to be around you want to keep up and they want to be unstoppable with you. So it's
Yes.
contagious.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's how you build a healthy relationship. I am not saying people come into perfect relationships, right?
Yeah.
You do come in, you have your little honeymoon period, and then you got to learn who people are. And then you're like, oh my God, if I knew this, I would have run the opposite way, right? But you don't run the opposite way when you love yourself and you committed to that love. You work through it and y'all grow together. That's growth. That's how relationships grow. And when you're growing together in a relationship, you don't fall out of love.
Yep.
So for everybody who's hearing me, you may want to check your relationship and see if y'all moving in the same direction. And if you're not, how can y'all get on that same plane?
Right. It's not an exit plan. You shouldn't be doing an exit plan unless you've exhausted every resource to have a state
Or if
plan.
it's like you said, we'll talk another time.
Right.
Or if it's extremely abusive,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh,
If
that's something
that
totally
that's
different.
non-negotiable. That is
Non-negotiable. That's
non-negotiable.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
That is
That
non-negotiable.
is
That's and
absolutely
abuse
right.
come in many ways: physical, psychological, emotional, financial, sexual.
Yes.
That is non-negotiable. So if it
Yes.
be defined as abusive, I by no means should you be. And
Stay.
I just said that even with friends. If people are not respecting your boundaries and
Yeah.
violating you in any way in any of those areas, that is not a relationship you should be in. And I talked about it more on a friendship because when we could get that right, again, the intimate relationships will fall in place
Fall
because
right
we
into
show up in
place.
our friendships the same way we show up in our intimate
Yep.
relationships.
I say it all the time. The person you see is the person that's going to show up all the time.
Yeah, we show up everywhere we go.
Yep. Yep.
It just look different. So if you watch them doing it to others and think they ain't gonna do it to you, sorry, you even if you're the person of last resort, it's gonna get done to you.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, that's some good stuff right there. And I
So
can't
one
wait
of the
till
things,
we
go ahead.
I can't wait till we have the relationship segment in
Oh
June.
yeah,
We bringing on Janine and her husband. You and your husband, it's gonna
Yeah,
get
we're gonna have
juicy.
some good stuff to talk about because relationships are very important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important to process,
Yeah.
especially, when you have things that you commit to each other. Part of my work, I do a lot of couples work. And the work that I do with couples is magnificent.
Yeah.
It is really magnificent. And it's so funny. Today I do maintenance. People come back for maintenance, and it's so funny. I met with one of my long standing couples. She's been with me for a long time, but we haven't met. She we haven't met in years. But when I first met her, she came to me, and when she sat down, this is when I was doing in-person work, and she sat down on the couch. She said to me, "It's over," because her son is 14. It's over 14 years ago, probably like 20 years ago. This
Mm.
is wild. She first said to me, "I'm in love with this man, but you got to convince me not to leave him." And I said, "Wait,
Ooh.
wait, 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 wait. That's not my job." Because she said, "I'm about to cut him off and walk out the door." Man, I done met the husband. They've been married for over a decade now, got two
Aw.
beautiful sons. And every time they talk to me, they say, Natasha, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have this wonderful life.
Right.
And when she stepped in my office, she wanted me to convince her not to leave. I didn't convince her not to leave.
Yeah.
I just helped her gain the understanding of who she was and why she was in love with this person and how to work through their love together.
Right.
So it's powerful work when you start to love yourself. You can have that relationship you want.
But you got to do the work, right? You have to. You know
Yes.
what I love
Yeah.
about what you're saying is what I hear you saying is you have been the catalyst to help people heal, sustain, see things differently. Like you have a success rate, especially when you tell
Oh
me a
yeah.
young lady came in your office over a decade ago and said, "You got to convince me to stay." And here she is for some maintenance. And they've been married 10 years and two kids
Yeah,
later.
and then let me give you the gag on it. The maintenance today was not about her husband, it's about that son because they going into teenage years. And she's been
Oh.
crying around the house. And guess what? Guess who told her? Her
Hmm.
husband said, "I think you need to call Natasha."
That speaks
And
volumes.
that's why she called me.
You know what's so funny, Tasha? That's going to move me into my next segment because I want to get this in before we leave today. So you are working on and will be up and running in June. You're going to have the Sit with Natasha, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a 90-day, just 90-day challenge to help people heal, fall in love with themselves, and attract the relationship that's for them.
Yes, yes.
So,
With your assistance,
of
my
course.
beautiful cousin, and your inspiration, we are going to develop a 90-day transformation plan for people who want to join us in this journey of healing and becoming well and having mental health and well-being. And we're
Yes.
going to have a various topics through the 90 days, but it's really going to be focused on you coming in and gaining the understanding of what you need to do to carry your mental health and well-being forward.
Right. To
And
become the
obviously,
best version of yourself,
that's
right?
right.
And when you are the best version of yourself, you see the world in a whole different light.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And as you become a little bit more, your health becomes your healthy, well, mental health becomes better. You start to attract like people.
Yes, absolutely. It's all the topic that we talked about today. I'm thinking about it. My cousin got me thinking about what is this going to look like? What are we going to focus on? It'll be a lot of psychoeducation, a lot of worksheets we'll give out, things that you could take with you, some things, my cousin called them quick wins,
Oh
but
yeah.
those are the grounding techniques, therapy. We call them grounding techniques, quick wins, because we're not perfect. And we chose 90 days to do this
Mm-hmm.
because we were looking at, everyone knows that it takes 30 days to break a habit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I chose 90 days because I'm a math nerd, right? And I love that about myself. I love math. And so I was thinking about the time, right? Clock. The clock is in quarters. You're 15 past, a half past, 45 minutes pass, and then we at the 60-minute hour, right? Then I'm thinking about the calendar year. Most of us who work and we have deadlines within quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. And
Right.
so I think when my cousin was like, well, do you have time? What time can you give to this? We want to make sure we develop a community, because my cousin goal is to heal a million
A
people plus or more,
million.
right? Start
Yes.
this. That's what Sisters Inspiring Transformation was built upon. I said, let's try with 90 days. Let's give people 90 days to commit and have an accountability partner and see the results that they yield in 90 days.
Right. And what I like about the 90 days also, so like you said, to break a habit, 30, right? So you got 30. You're going to seal it in 60. In 90 days, you are going to
You're
be a
going to be
whole new.
actively practicing.
Exactly. And it's going to heal parts of people that settle for less. It's going to detox from toxic and self-abandonment issues. Rebuild boundaries. That's really big. People don't realize no is a full sentence, and it's okay to say no. Rebuild boundaries and self-trust, because there's a lot of, we guard our
Oh,
hearts
yeah.
so much because we don't
Yeah.
trust. And you'll raise your standards, attract love that actually feels good and stays. And then we
Right.
have you to reinforce it. And let's talk about those relationships before you do anything. We'll talk about it
Yep.
in the sessions. I
Yep.
love that. So if you
The
guys,
ideal that's coming to me is the journey towards developing authentic self-love, because everything you just mentioned is that's all about healing oneself. And
right,
when you heal oneself, you will attract abundance in all areas of
right,
your life.
right. And so there are many, many, many avenues for a healing journey, right? Healing journey helps you to practice self-love. Healing journey helps you to practice self-care. You can meditate, breath work, exercise, eat. You can do all the things. And I always say healing is not a linear path. It's not straight. It's going to be some bumps, some downs, some ups. And it's something you have to practice every day. And you won't be perfect in your pursuit, but you give yourself grace and you get back up and you do it again. But what I like that you're going to do is you're going to help people rewire the way they think. And so when
About it,
you
yeah.
rewire the way you think, when we show them that maybe their perception may be skewed just a little bit, see things just a little bit different, watch the magical results.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's we call it correcting the errors in your mind. And I'll give you an example, right? I hate exercising, but I love my health.
Yes.
So when I'm exercising, I don't feel like it's a burden. I don't feel like it's a dragging. And I can tell people I hate doing it.
Yeah.
I would rather be doing something else, because you're straining, you're sweating, you're doing all of this. But I will tell you, I do not. It's not an option for me not to exercise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the way it makes me feel. I
Ooh.
love the way it makes me look. I love the way it encouraged me to eat healthy. It's a whole journey behind that. So
Yeah.
when I go to do it, I do it with love, even though I don't like it.
Yeah. 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 You and my sister can hang out. She is. I'm not gonna tell her age, but she's older than me. And when I tell you, she is a workout guru.
I know my cousin is phenomenal.
Oh my
She is
God,
phenomenal
she
in
gets
it,
on my
but she loves
nerves.
herself. She
Okay,
loves herself
Tasha,
because it's hard work.
I was trying to do her workout one day,
Yeah.
and I got on the side of the bed, and I was like, she was like, "You done? Come on!" I was like, and even after this, she had the audacity to say that workout wasn't hard enough. Girl, I gave
Oh
her
yeah, she's in it, but you can even see it in her
in
when
her
she's glowing,
body. Yep,
how
her
she carrying
face.
herself,
Yeah.
her
Oh
happiness.
yeah.
She does it because she loves it and she loves herself.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And you could tell when you're in the room with my cousin, you know she's a workout guru. You don't even have to ask her, and
Hmm.
she'll talk about it.
You don't have to. Right. That
It's
go.
just it's exudes from her
That
because
go.
you can see she's taking care of her body and she's loving on her body, and it shows.
And that goes back to what you're saying. People will see you.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when she started doing it. The first time I saw her after a long time, I'm like, girl, what are you? I know what you're doing, but keep up the good work. You aging backwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I get, they be like, "Is that your little sister, your younger sister?" I be like, "Hello,
I
hello."
know. Because she is aging backwards,
She
but she's
is
taking care of her
phenomenal.
body. Because I'm sure when she tell us, if she comes on or tell her to type in tell the world what she's doing more than just the physical work,
Right. May we,
doing
we
the
we
mental
we need
work.
you. We need you to talk about
Yeah,
it.
she's putting in what she putting in her body, how much rest she get in at night,
Yeah.
what she's going to do and not going to do, what's negotiable and not negotiable.
Self care.
And it's also a mindset, a positive reinforcement and thoughts about what she's doing.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
could tell it just exudes from her.
Yeah. 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 So I'd like to ask people like, what is the real cost of not getting, not becoming the best version of yourself? The world is changing rapidly.
Yeah.
And if you're at a
Sickness.
point now,
Yeah.
you're complacent, you're going to get left behind.
Well, I think in the last 5 minutes, we'll talk about what you wanted to talk about, and we'll touch more of this in depth, whether it's next week or in our June series as
Hmm.
well. What our June to September series is the stigmas around getting mental health treatment,
Oh,
right?
yes.
So
Yes.
let me just tell you, just how we talked about our family member who took on the journey of loving herself and use exercise to inspire that and continue to exude that you don't even have to ask her. You could just tell she's in love with herself and love what she
Hmm.
do for herself. What she probably found out is, however she got there, is that whatever problem you got, if you ignore the problem and try to use willpower, the problem won't go away. You have to
Yeah.
put action behind
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right? And so taking away that stigma around lots of stuff, the stigma makes our myths and beliefs that are inaccurate and they're very harmful.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when you don't get help, you just ask the question, what's on the other side of choosing not to go down this journey?
Right.
Sickness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sickness begets more sickness and it
Right.
will catch up to you.
Right. I wrote down, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness.
Yes, yes, that's right. Because ignoring the problem typically make it worse.
Hmm. Or medicating the problem. That's a whole nother series.
Yeah. Yep.
Great stuff. And so, Tasha, why do you believe that some of the reasons why there's a stigma is fear of judgment or being labeled?
I think there's a stigma because when we talked about it beginning, remember my first opening speech about helping the audience understand the difference in the language we use.
Right.
I think because we use mental health interchangeable with mental illness, and then what gets wired in our brain are the images of what mental illness looked like. If we are struggling with depression and anxiety or some sort of mental challenge, we don't, where the brain is aligning you with that image.
Right.
So if you don't look like that, then you don't need help,
Right.
right? But
Okay.
eventually you can get to look like that if you don't get help.
If you don't get
Some,
the help.
unfortunately, some people with mental illness are that way because of biological situations or very severe traumatic childhoods, or, maybe, having drug addiction and, traumas embedded in the family. People grow up and then their brain is just broken and you have to work really, really hard to repair it.
Yeah.
Most of us are not that. Most of us are dealing with life on life terms
Right.
and trying to make it through this world.
Yeah.
And we have challenges on top of challenges on top of challenges. And what did you say was the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over
Over and
again,
over again.
expecting a different result. When you keep doing that over and over again, it becomes a part of who you are.
Right.
And so sometimes you don't even know that it's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people
Because
around you
it becomes
accept
a
it,
part of your
right?
makeup. Yep.
Right, and the people around you accept it because maybe they going through stuff as well. I tell, tell a lot of my clients that, when you start to get well and you heal, right? And, I don't usually tell them this in the beginning because I don't want to scare people away. I tell them you're going to lose a lot of
Yeah.
relationships. And then when I finally tell them that, they probably lost one or two already. So then they're like, oh, you mean like so-and-so? You mean like that? So I'm like, yeah. And we've talked about why you lost those relationships, right? But do you know why you really lost those relationships? Because some relationships around you are vested in you being
They
unwell.
thrive on
So
that.
I'm just using that as an example to highlight how stigmas can continue to fester. Because when you're
Yes.
in situations and you're in relationships and people are vested in you being depressed because they could get whatever they want from you or whatever their goal is, they won't tell you, hey, you ain't looking good, or I'm concerned about you.
I always talk about the superiority and inferiority complex. Some people love to be on top or to believe that they're,
Hmm.
on top. And another, mental health issue, but that's a whole nother conversation too. But I think also, Tasha, misunderstanding what therapy really is and can do for you
Yeah.
is a reason why we have this stigma. And then I think too, how does a person really find a therapist? Like Google them?
Well, most people do. People get referrals from therapists. We could talk about that in June. That could be part
That's a
of
good
what we
one.
we bring up in
Yeah.
June. How can you really find a therapist? But I spoke about that in
Yeah.
in an April 21st segment, so you want
Yeah.
to go back and look at that
Mm-hmm.
about, you could choose a therapist. You don't have to let the therapist choose you. And there's tons of wonderful people out there. You just have to good fit. And I know some people that's listeners, because we're on the World Wide Web, may not have full access. But let me tell you, I don't know if I said this because I'll be saying all type of things, but I can tell you nothing ever come out my mouth is a lie. So somebody heard me say this before. The the one thing that came out of the pandemic and quarantine and COVID-19 was
Mm-hmm.
accessibility to good therapists, because I
Mm-hmm.
have people, I only practice in New York State. I have clients from the depth of Brooklyn going up to the a border of Canada, because Buffalo
Wow.
borders Canada. So
Yeah.
they can call me online.
Yeah.
So now with all these online platforms, you got to be able to find somebody that you have a good fit with.
Yeah.
If it's not a good relationship with your therapist, you don't have to be in that
Right.
relationship either, because every therapist ain't for everybody. I know I'm not for everybody.
Right. And then, and I'm just going to speak to the federal government folks. They have the employee assistance program available,
Oh yes.
EAP, and it's free. It's just a matter of a phone call, confidential. They will not tell any of your business. So you're right, there are many resources out there for a person. And it's not about mental illness. We got to stop thinking about it that way. It's about mental wellness, how we are
Yes.
going to get well.
Oh.
And
And let me just say another plug for that, because I am an EAP provider.
oh my
Most
goodness.
companies,
Call
well,
them,
that's
y'all.
my
1
corporate
800
work. That's
EAP.
right. That's my corporate work. I'm not on everybody's EAP, but most other companies do have that as well.
Right. Are
So it's
you,
not
are
just the
you, you,
federal workers.
you do federal?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're in,
Somebody dragged me on to Lutheran. Lutheran. It used to be New
are
Directions.
you in New Jersey or New York?
No, New York, New
Oh,
York.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
New
there you
York. Yeah,
have it,
because I
federal
only practice
workers.
in New York. Yeah.
So we have access to her, and we are also going to join her. We're going to all get a subscription to the Thursday sit with Natasha, so we can get some more good nuggets. Well, we are so out of time. We are running
Yes, we
behind, but as
overtime.
always, it is an amazing talk about mental wellness and how we can improve and get better. I could talk about this all day. And so I look forward to you guys coming back next week. I love you. Until next week. Good night.
Good night.
We've been strong for so long. Now it's time to rise.